1993 that Great Britain last won the right to compete in Pool A. And with a good record against Norway, the team were in confident mood. Norway, playing in white, dominated the first 40 minutes, outshooting Britain 17-3 in the first period alone. Once again, Stevie Lyle was outstanding in the net. Strict refereeing left GB shorthanded 4 times, and the Norwegians finally capitalized on the power play when Espen Knutsen buried the puck in the back of the net with just 9 seconds left in the period. Norway continued to dominate in the second, and the inevitable goal came from Peter Salston to put them 2 up. Cardiff Sterndurtle got GB back into the game when he scored on the power play with a blistering shot from the point. Britain threw everything they had into the third period, but it was too little too late. Paul Adey hit the post. And Tony Hand had a great effort, but just couldn't get the puck into the net to tie the game and take it into overtime. 2-1 the final score. Norway going through, and Great Britain were left.
Grabbed him and pulled him straight down. He isn't going to argue. Look right here. Mike's trying to get away, trying to get on the end of a pass there, and Steer just lassos him, just pulls him around with 2 arms, and that's it.
So there you go, the London Knights with a great opportunity to pull one back here at the start of the third period, but what we've got is a call coming up from Chris McSorley. He's going to call for a stick measurement, against Sean Byram. He's going to call on the well, Byram's stick isn't normally curved, so it must be either the length or the width of the blade.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going for. You can see the measurer there.
It's sticking.
It's sticking.
But he's saying, is it going to get all the way through? Could just be the tape.
It won't matter at all. It doesn't matter whether the tape's there or not. If it's sticking and not going through the...
oh, he's giving it away.
He's giving it, and there's going to be a 2-minute penalty.
So McSorley, we know, can make these calls. He's made him against the Bracknell Bees, and he's getting his pen out. He's going to make some instructions. 5-on-3, the London Knights are going to go on the power play. The third time he's called this penalty against Ayr. We know he's called it a couple of times against Bracknell, against Bruno Campisi's stick. So here you can see he's making the coach's moves.
He's got the coach's board there, but has that boy got a crystal ball or something like that? How does he always predict that those sticks are illegal?
Eye for it, I guess. Well, we know that most of the sticks out there, I mean, there's...
I know Dave Whistle's going to be sitting up there going, holy God, again. But it was a great call. It was a great opportunity to call.
Look at this. Cavs, Mark Cavlin's coming off the ice, folks. And this is unbelievable. He's going to go a 6-on-3. 6-on-3. Cavlin will probably, I imagine, be right there ready to step back onto the ice if London lose the draw.
London now, from this face-off, each forward are going to pick a player. They're not going to give them a chance. It's very important that they win the draw here, get it back, and then each London player will take one of the Ayr players, and that'll leave 2 guys open.
So London win the draw. Actually, with the shot, it comes in. Sargent with the save. No one in front of Sargent. He saw it the whole way. 6-on-3 gear. You ever done that?
I've never done that in my life, and not with 19 minutes and 39 seconds left to go in a game. But hey, you know you got no choice. I mean, might as well go for it. You lose by 1 goal.
Bracknell Bees' unbeaten road record this season finally came to an end at Ayr, but not without a battle. Tony Hand backhanded the Eagles into an early lead, only for Todd Goodwin to equalise from the slot just before the end of the first period. A fire alarm at the Centrum Arena delayed the second period by 15 minutes. The building was evacuated for safety reasons. On the resumption, a scoreless period was followed by a Jamie Steer goal just 25 seconds into the third. No alarm bells ringing for Bracknell quite yet. Just 32 seconds later, Goodwin dons the Heroes uniform again. The Bees desperate to maintain that unbeaten road record. In the end, though, 2 goals for Yves Heroux in the last 5 minutes give Ayr the points. Their recovery back on track. For Bracknell, though, the next stop was Manchester. In the second of 4 straight road games, they made an explosive start. 2 goals for Kevin Real to take his overall tally for the season to 25. And a third for PC Druin made it 3 goals from 6 shots. And an early exit for Storm netminder Frankie Pietrangelo. The change of goalie calmed the Storm, though, and they slowly clawed their way back into the contest. Dave Livingston cutting the gap to 2. And then the critical play of the game. It's not a pretty one, but the impact on the season could be huge. A win here for Manchester would be their 5th straight. And when Pierre Allard finally scrambled the puck home midway through the second, the Storm knew they could win this one. And with the olays of a 6,000+ crowd, they wrap things up with their 100th league goal of the season. London Knights felt the full force of the Devils' recent improvement in form at the Ice House. Steve Thornton the key to a stunning 5-0 win. Ezio Sacratini benefiting from his assist, before Thornton himself scored on the power play. 2-0 at the end of the first. Knights forced onto the offensive and suffering the consequences. Ian McIntyre plays a lovely 1-2 with Steve Moria, and that's 3-0. Then Sacratini makes the defensive interception before skating the length of the ice. Another 1-2, this time with Machulik. Pretty goal, Sacratini's 22nd point in 11 games. Derek Kolofsky's shutout won the Man of the Match award. It could just have easily have gone to Thornton. He's hot, looking good. He's even sounding good. Alex Dampier has made Nottingham a more difficult team to beat, but they're still to win on the road in Super League. Greg Hatton's power play strike gets them off to a good start at Newcastle, only for Joel Poirier to counter in similar vein. The River Kings have the worst home record in Super League. Looking at the way they lose the puck down low and then give David Struch 3 bites of the cherry, it's not difficult to see why. The River Kings go goal for goal with the Panthers for just over half this game. Mikko Koivunorio on target here to make it 2 each. But once Jamie Leach moved unhindered to score Panthers' 4th late in the second period, Nottingham could finally celebrate that elusive first road win. 7-3 at the end. It's 8 defeats in a row for Newcastle. So the Sekonda Super League title race is really hotting up. The London Knights stay top of the table despite that heavy defeat at the hands of Cardiff. Sheffield are just 2 points off the pace, but they have a game in hand. 3 wins in 4 days puts Manchester right back in contention.
Goes, but that'll take it from the second period. Here we go. Krumschmidt beating Ash. Looked like little girly punches. Didn't get any big bombs in. Made it look good for the crowd, but I don't think any of those tagged. But the London Knights are saying, I'm going to have a bit of you. We got more on the other side of the ice.
Kenny Nygaard going in there, trying to protect his players.
Well, that's right. You can imagine Chris McSorley would have given everyone the green light to get over there. Here we go on the other side. Looks like Blair Scott. Blair Scott feeding in there.
Can't see who the other player, London player is.
It's got a 2, might be Burke. Yeah, Burke and Scott. And neither one of those are going to go down. They're going to keep going. Scott's a tough guy. So is Greg Burke. Not heavyweights, but definitely up there. But we can get everything taken care of after the break. It's 2-2. There's a lot of action. Make sure you join us after the break. Storm established a 2-0 lead in the second. Then also in the second, London started to peg it back. Darren Banks on the doorstep to make it 2-1. Then Bice in the slot with a great pass from Burke. One-timed it through the 5-hole of Frank Peter Angelo. 2-2 the score after 2 periods. Match facts you can see more or less even all the way down the board. London with an extra power play, but no power plays for either team. There was plenty of action towards the end of the second frame. This is how it all ended. Krumschmidt and Ash squaring off. Then at the bottom of your screen, Burke and Scott doing a bit of shirt tugging and then landing a few bombs on one another. It didn't end there though. The teams congregated in front of Manchester's bench and all had a little bit of a wrestling and pushing match. After that, this is how the penalties were established. 2+2 for Krumschmidt, Scott 2+2, Miller with a 2-minute unsportsmanlike conduct, Ash 2+2, Burke 2+2, and Nyker 2-minute elbowing penalty. So that is all gonna even out.
The Cardiff Devils have misfired for much of this season, but their recent form has been encouraging. At Ayr, though, in the first of a double-header on the road, they make a poor start. Debutant Shane Stevenson on target early on. Then he added assists for the next 2 goals as the Eagles flew into a 3-0 lead early in the second period. But Cardiff, who came from 3 down to beat Bracknell on Thursday, did the same here. Steve Thornton's wraparound got them on the scoreboard. And by the end of the second period, they were all square. This, the pick of their goals, and it shows Ivan Machulik at his best. Great skating. Calm finish. Devils red hot. The team traded goals in the third before Cardiff went in overtime for the second straight game. Jason Stone assisting Nicky Chin. Credit John Brill for the screen. Is this a late championship challenge starting? If it is, then they'll have to hope others slip up. Steelers showed few signs of faltering as their famous run-and-gun offence put 7 past London. Knights were gifted a 2-1 lead when Grant Shervin allowed Tom Asher's shot from halfway slip under his stick. But that was a mere blip in an emphatic Steeler performance that included 4 power play goals. This, the first of them for Rob Wilson. What proved to be the game winner was another scored with the man advantage. Ed Courtney left all alone at the back door just before the end of the second period. And as London tried to force the pace, they made mistakes. Dale Junkin completed the power play haul. And the Steelers made it 14 goals in 2 games when the popular Tommy Plummer, popular in Sheffield that is, made it a magnificent 7. Cardiff at Newcastle. River Kings had lost 8 straight, so no real panic when Eero Järvi scored early on. After all, the Devils had recovered from 3 down in their 2 previous games. So when Vettio Sacratini scored on the power play to take his scoring streak up to 14 games, Cardiff fully expected to go on to win. But a short-handed breakaway by Kim Alroos changed all that. Lovely move. It gave the River Kings a 2-goal advantage. There was stretched to 3 when another fast break exposed Cardiff. Timo Neumann with the hard work to set up the ever-dangerous Mika Koivunoru. Newcastle hardly looking like a team who've lost 8 on the bounce. And they wrapped up the points with 2 more goals in the third period. Hilton Ruggles on target against his former club. Newcastle 6, Cardiff 2. So, confirmation of the weekend's results. On Saturday, the Devils came back in overtime to beat Ayr 5-4. At Nottingham, Bracknell suffered their 5th overtime loss of the season. Sheffield hit those impressive 7 past London. On the following night, Bracknell held on for the 2 points against Sheffield. We saw London defeat Manchester in a thriller at the MEN Arena, and Newcastle secured their first win in 9 with victory over Cardiff. All that means the race for the Sekonda Superleague title is really hotting up after a week which has seen the leadership swap 4 times between London and Sheffield. It's London back in pole position, Sheffield 2 points behind but with a game in hand. Bracknell have some ground to make up, but with 5 games in hand and 2 fixtures against Sheffield in the next couple of weeks, they could well start making their move. And don't rule out the defending champions Manchester. For 98 champions Ayr and 97 champions Cardiff, there's probably too much ground to make up. Don't quote me on that though. Nottingham can console themselves with the fact they're one of 3 teams who've qualified for the Challenge Cup semi-finals in March, alongside Sheffield and London. 1 place is up for grabs, and that's between Ayr, Bracknell and Cardiff. The Bees look favourites to go through. They only need 1 point from 2 games. Cardiff Devils sharpshooter Stevie Thornton became one of only 3 players to score a goal in 6 consecutive Super League games, and he scored against Ayr at the weekend. His recent run of hot form of 11 points in 5 games has seen him move up a place to 4th in the leading point scorer standings. But the table is dominated by Sheffield and the lethal trio of Courtney, Wynne and Junkin, who totalled 11 points between them over the weekend. Plenty of hockey around for you. The Devils iced new signing Darren Hurley for their game with Newcastle. Both these teams have only the playoffs to build for. This contest proved that despite their lowly league status, they'll be tough nuts to crack on March. Clayton Norris, who's attracted interest from Jokerit, fired the River Kings into the lead. But Cardiff exacted some revenge for a 6-2 mauling by Newcastle the previous week to win with 2 second-period goals. Steve Morrier's execution after a neat 1-2 with John Brill, the first of them, The game winner coming after Vecchio Sacratini set up Daniel Yardemeyer. Steve Thornton tipping home his 20th goal of the season. There was a humdinger of a game at the Sheffield Arena as two championship contenders went head-to-head. First blood Sheffield as Wayne Allison set up Dan Seaman. But this game exploded in the second as Bracknell chased a double target. They knew a point here would secure a place in the Challenge Cup semi-finals. Dennis Chassey's equaliser helped their cause. But more importantly, the Bees wanted maximum points to boost their own title charge. And Colin Ward gave them a 3-2 lead, and then the fun really began. Ref Andy Carson had already awarded Steelers a penalty shot. He was to call the Bees 46 penalty minutes in all. But when Dale Junkin's scramble goal was allowed to stand, it was too much for Bees coach Dave Whistle. He took his own game misconduct. Super League may well take further action. But the coach's stance seemed to re-energise his team. From a 5-3 deficit, they scored twice early in the third. This one from Chris Brandt. And having secured their Challenge Cup place, they secured the extra point when Ward's second of the game secured Bracknell a thrilling 6-5 win. The Bees were brought back down to earth by Cardiff when the teams met in Bracknell the following night. Steve Morio scoring the only goal of the first period on the power play. But 3 second-period goals were enough to maintain Bracknell's very real championship aspirations. PC Druin's speed skating created the chance for Chassey to equalise. And just 29 seconds later, Bracknell were gifted a goal. The unseen Paxton Schulte firing through an embarrassed Stevie Lyle. Lyle went on to make 44 saves and win the Man of the Match award, but that merely showed how dominant Bracknell were. Brandt's goal, the game winner. A great weekend for Bracknell Bees, 4 points out of 4. Two teams who are still in the 5-team race for the championship are Manchester and Ayr. They met at the NEN Arena, Mike Morin giving Storm the lead. But barely 37 seconds later, the Eagles responded with a gem of a goal. Eric Morano firing past Mark Bernard for his 17th Super League goal of the season. Then the Storm scored 3 goals in 3 minutes to lead 4-1 just before the half-hour mark. And the points seemed theirs. But in this ultra-competitive league, no lead seems safe, so it proved Morano seizing on a defensive error to send the game to overtime. But it was Manchester who won the game, making it 15 points out of the last 18 available when Ryan Duthie's burst set up Alexei Loshkin. That's 4 goals in 4 games for Loshkin and a vital extra point for the Storm. Now then, problems at London Arena. Missing plexiglass stanchions caused the postponement of Sunday's game with Nottingham, and Wednesday's game with Manchester has also been postponed until next Tuesday. The Challenge Cup semi between London and Nottingham will now count for Super League points as well. So then, confirmation of all the weekend's results. On Saturday, Cardiff avenged their recent defeat at Newcastle with a 2-1 home win over the River Kings. Nottingham skated to a 4-2 victory over Manchester, and Bracknell broke their overtime duck for the season, and how, beating Sheffield 6-5 in that crucial game at the House of Steel. On Sunday, Bracknell continued their winning ways, defeating Cardiff. Manchester held out for an overtime win over Ayr. We saw Sheffield blast 5 past the River Kings. This is an excellent championship race. Sheffield going back to the top of the Sekonda Super League after that emphatic win over Newcastle. Maximum points by Bracknell at the weekend, though, put them hot on the heels of the leaders. And remember, problems at the London Arena mean it's now London with a game in hand over Sheffield. This really does look like going right down to the wire. Face Sheffield in one of the semi-finals. The other matchup is top-of-the-table London against 4th place Nottingham. The London leg of that game doubling up as a Super League.